Safety information at inspiresleep.com.
Hi, everybody. We're back. The time's 9:23. Earlier this month, during the legislative session, the Minnesota Senate voted to prohibit planning for a new passenger rail service between the Twin Cities and the North Shore. The high-speed rail plan is called the Northern Lights Express. Planners of the project say that it could passenger an estimated 1 million passengers a year between the Twin Cities and the Twin Ports.
A Republican state senator from Mound put the brakes on the project, called it a bad idea that isn't the type of transportation that our state needs. But organizers of the Northern Express have not given up on it. St. Louis County Commissioner Keith Nelson is here with his arguments for this rail line to move forward. Nice to have you with us, Commissioner. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
For people who haven't heard of the Northern Express, tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's a passenger train between, and it's an inner city passenger train between what would be Target Stadium and Duluth, Minnesota.
So it goes through Coon Rapids, Cambridge, Hinckley.
It does, and it would make several stops along the way. About a 2-hour and 15-minute trip from Duluth to Minneapolis, and it would be, a fare of about $30 to $35 for that one-way trip. So it's a pretty efficient, pretty cost-effective means of travel.
And you had some fairly substantial projections about how many people would ride that at some point. Start out with maybe 750,000 riders a year, and then bump up to 1 million. How did you guys come up with that number?
Well, the numbers have been vetted quite well. I'm a business person, okay? Have been all of my adult life, and I insisted that those numbers be very conservative in nature, and so those numbers have been projections that we put together with various engineering firms, but we're very, very confident in those numbers. If we could take even 2% of the current travelers up to 35. That would meet those projections. That's just 2%. So it's again, we've worked very hard at having very conservative numbers to present to legislators.
So this is a train that would run on rails that are already in place, train tracks that are already in place.
That's correct. The dollars that we're asking for at the state level to match the federal government. It's $80 million at the state level to match $320 million at the federal level. But those dollars are to invest in the train sets as well as the tracks that currently exist. They are BNSF, Burlington Northern, Santa Fe tracks between Duluth and Minneapolis that currently exist. There are safety enhancements to that line. All of the various crossings along that route, and also improvements to what is a real bottleneck down here in the metro, which is the third main for the train line coming down here. So it addresses a freight bottleneck as well as all of the work that's being done, safety enhancements being done along the passenger rail line.
So we mentioned in the lead-in that it failed to get out of committee, which pretty much stopped it for this legislative session. How then do you project trying to move it forward and get the discussion started again? Well,
I really don't think it stopped it for this legislative session, to be honest with you.
Okay.
We are in the House bill, and the governor very much supports this project. I'm hopeful that my friends on the Senate side can also see the benefits, the economic development benefits, the jobs, 3,000 construction workers being put to work immediately. This is a shovel-ready project. And that's the thing that everyone needs to understand. This is ready to go. We've done our environmental work. We've done all of our assessments that the FRA, Federal Rail Association, requires. So we are one of, I believe, the top 20 in the nation in terms of shovel-ready, ready to go to accept those federal dollars to match our state monies. So we're still hopeful that there's a deal in the offing.
Do you, go ahead. Nick. I was going to say, to follow up on that, do you think that maybe you're meeting a little more resistance in St. Paul than you'd planned, given the Southwest Light Rail and kind of how that has not necessarily stayed on time or on budget and had a lot of people feeling pretty negatively toward rail? Well,
and again, we're not a commuter rail line. We are an inner city passenger rail line. Two completely different animals. And I mean, I support rail period. But intercity passenger rail is really different in the sense that it's destination travel. It's not just commuter to and from work. So we think that there's a place for intercity passenger rail. You know, there once was a place for intercity passenger rail, and you know what goes around comes around, and we're back at a point with $6 a gallon diesel fuel, with $5 a gallon gasoline. I want a state legislator to make an argument to me that this does not make sense at this point in time.
Is there a risk of the federal dollars going away if the state doesn't approve this?
The federal dollars aren't going to go away. They're just simply going to get spent in another state.
Okay.
You know, we've already sent our money to Washington. This is an opportunity for us to get our money back and spend it here in Minnesota on a project that, you know, it may not prove out in the first 4 or 5 years, but there's monies in there to kind of in that federal bill to help along the way as we develop this line and get it working up to full capacity. So the future is there for rail. I don't think there's any question about that. The question is, are we ready for the future?
Commissioner, thanks for your time today. Appreciate you coming down. Driving down, by the way.
Driving down. Would have loved to have been on that train
Sure you would
yesterday
have.
through that nasty storm.
Thank
you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you,
thank you.
Commissioner. You can learn a lot more about the Northern Lights Express at Train Days, which is happening this Saturday and this Sunday right inside Union Depot in St. Paul. It's free to attend and includes tours of locomotives, model railroads, and plenty of family activities. You can learn more by checking out our website, minnesotalive.com.